Hey, Seph, welcome to Crosswalk Talk. Thanks for joining me.
Hey man, thanks so much for having me on.
Seph Schlueter is our guest. Many fans, of course, know you, Seph, by your breakout single, Counting My Blessings. And now you are releasing your debut album, also called Counting My Blessings. I want to talk about your album, but I always enjoy stories about how artists kind of stumble into popularity. Tell me the story behind the writing of Counting My Blessings, the song, and what were your emotions as it rose the charts? For those who don't know, it was number one on the charts for a long time and still has millions of streams. How did that happen?
Yeah, man. I was in a writing room with two guys, Jonathan Gamble and Jordan Sapp are their names, and they've been on a number of other songs. Just incredible writers. And one of them, Jonathan kind of brought in the idea of Count My Blessings, kind of brought in that like chorus idea, and we're like, man, that feels like we all resonate with that because it was something like the Lord. The way we phrased it was like we were living in the answer to prayers we had prayed years ago. Like years ago, we had prayed for this to happen in our career, in our family, in our relationships, and yada yada yada. And like we were living in it, but it's so easy to move on to the next thing and move on to like all right, new goal, new achievement, new whatever, new dream, and we forget to actually just pause and say thank you. And so for us, the song was really that. It was like, hey, pausing and saying thank you, and regardless of what season you're in, like highs and lows, like there's always something to be grateful for. So we kind of wrote it, and I remember leaving the studio and just feeling like, man, that feels like a special one, and I'm excited for that. And then obviously, fast forward a couple of years. I mean, because we literally wrote it, I think it was probably um 2022, maybe even 2021. I don't know. Um, and it was like, man, this is cool. But then you put it out and you're like, man, other people think this is cool too. And it's like just seeing like the impact that it was having and on so many different fronts. I mean, internationally is kind of where it took off in Brazil first. So like it was wild to see it like resonate with a totally different culture and then see it, climb to the charts on radio and resonate with that culture and then see it do what it's done and continues to do on social media where it's got, like 1.2 billion views on across all platforms. Like the songs that are like reels or TikToks that have used the song all together out to 1.2 billion, which is like what? That's crazy. So and you have anyone from Christian people using it to like celebrities using it to like sports players using it like all over the place. And so just to see like the way that the song has resonated with so many people is just so sweet.
This is your debut album. You already have another hit from that album, Running Back to You, which many people have heard that as well. What were your goals with this album, both musically and lyrically? Because I noticed when I was listening to the album, there's a little bit of pop, a little bit of folk, a little bit of what we call worship today. What were your goals with this album?
Yeah, I feel like I wanted to put an album that was really me. Like something that like I felt like represented me well and represented my heart well. And it's funny because, like just the way that the music timeline works and stuff, so much of these songs are written I mean, again, 3, 4 years ago, some of them, but all the way up to like
Uh,
months before the album came out. So it's like I feel like for me, it just kind of showed it like was sharing really like my prayer journal in some ways over the last 4 years. Like what are kind of like the biggest themes in my last few years of doing this thing? And so I wanted to just be able to share that with people and hope that that serves as an invitation to others that they would see what God has done in my life, but also just through these words, like have their own personal encounter with Jesus to meet his love and his mercy and his arms that are pulling you back in and his heart in this place. And so just to communicate God's heart to people because that's how he communicated to me. And I wanted to share it with others. I kind of wanted to be able to um yeah, let that be accessible to others.
you mentioned that sometimes you write these songs 2 or 3 years before they come out. Do they sometimes have a deeper meaning when they finally come out to
Totally.
you?
Totally. I
Yeah, go ahead. Give me an example or two if you can.
Two examples that I think I've been really big on this album. One was This Side of Heaven as a song on the album. Wrote it. I mean, it's about praising God through your pain. It's about praising God through the midst of suffering and how that's a special gift that we can give on this side that we can't on that side. And so um that was like, it was cool to write that and really as I was writing it with another guy, it was really honestly kind of based off of some of the things he was going through in that moment of hardship or struggle. But then this past August we lost a little baby in the womb and that song took on a whole new meaning. like all of a sudden it became a lifeline for me, and just seeing like, man, like I can still praise you in this pain, God, and in the midst of mystery. I don't understand why, but I'm still going to give you this gift. And so took on a
Mm,
totally different meaning, from like writing it for someone else's experience, honestly, to like writing it and singing it for my own. And then even the song Won't Start Now is kind of similar for me. Like I wrote that song in a place of just seeing God's faithfulness and seeing his presence and seeing the ways that like he always showed up. And it was awesome. And then when we were talking about the album and songs and singles, this song came up and like, oh, we love this one. And I'm like, I used to like it, and now it's hard for me to sing it because it's like it's all about how he's never let you down and how he's like never abandoned you. And I'm like, I've kind of felt a little hurt and abandoned a little bit, like being honest.
yeah.
But like that's where those songs matter so much, because it's not about how you feel, it's about, the truth of his word. And so sometimes we need those reminders in places we don't quite feel it, so that we can be like, man, like I don't feel this, but this is the truth. And so even that song kind of came on from a whole different meaning from early on, where it's more like, oh, I'm seeing this happen in my life. It's like, man, I just need to be reminded that this still happens in my life.
Mm. You seem to have several songs on the album about running back to Jesus, prodigals. One of the songs is "Come On Home," which seems like a song about prodigals. What's the story behind that song? I did see on Instagram that you were saying this is a song for people who have kind of walked away from the faith.
Yeah. This song was so fun for me because I remember just kind of going through the thought process of like, in high school, I was part of an awesome community of just people really running after the Lord, and just like living radically for him. And a number of those people I've stayed in touch with, have become like stayed good friends and are, missionaries or, ministry leaders or whatever it might be, which is just so cool. But there's also a number of them that like wandered from the Lord that I'm not really in touch with as much. And I remember just kind of having the thought, like, I wonder if like any of those people like follow me and like, or like listen to my music or like see like what I'm doing. And then I was like, well, if they do, what would I want them to know? Like, what would I want to tell them? And that's really where Come On Home came from, was like, what would I want to tell the people who at one point I knew and were like running after the Lord, and now like have kind of wandered from them. And so that one was so fun for me to write that perspective, because usually my songs are always like the subject is Jesus, it's like all about him. But to like write a song where it's like, this is to all the people that, maybe aren't with the Lord right now. Like what would I want them to hear? And to be able to kind of write that was a fun creative process that I was just really excited about, kind of the way it turned out.
Yeah, we're kind of living in the midst of this deconstruction movement, kind of within evangelicalism, and so it's fun to see songs like that calling on people to come back home.
Yeah.
You were a leader in the Damascus worship community. I was wanting to ask you about that. Did you help launch that, and what was its purpose, and what is it for those who don't know?
Yeah. So Damascus Worship is part of it's kind of the worship branch of a ministry in Ohio where I'm at, called Damascus. And the whole goal of Damascus is really just bringing revival to the church. And we have 500 acres of land in Ohio. And we run camps, retreats, and events and stuff all throughout the year. We run a big summer camp. We have like 6,000 kids coming to summer camp, which is awesome. And then, yeah, men's retreats, women's retreats, young adult retreats. We have a worship conference, all these different stuff, all with the goal of like, hey, we don't want to just like talk about Jesus or learn about him, but we want to actually encounter him. So how can we do that? And so the worship we kind of saw that worship was just a huge part of people's encounter with Jesus, and in these retreats and camps you're running, like so many people were encountering the presence of God through worship. And so we started kind of writing our own stuff and putting out some of our own stuff to really just to yeah, just like be like, all right, God, you're blessing this, I'm gonna follow where you're leading. And so we're gonna try this out and see what happens. And so I was kind of the first, I was the one who really helped launch that within Damascus, and I'm still serving there as the worship director and just really helping kind of guide and pioneer what worship looks like for that community.
Did you grow up in a home of faith?
I did, yeah. One of six, both of my parents, lifelong Christians, and really raised us in the faith in really awesome ways that I'm so grateful for. We pray together every day as a family. Every night it'd be, sometimes it'd be with scripture, sometimes it'd be just, our own personal prayers, sometimes it'd be worship. Like my dad would pick up a guitar and play, um, and talked about Jesus a lot. A lot of both of my parents kind of did ministry things, and so just grew up in that environment of faith-based culture that really, I think, gave me such a great foundation to continue on.
Steady Love is another song on the album. You have a fun music video out. I was watching that. It's almost, I might be showing my age here. Weird Al Yankovic type persona there. Um, what's the story behind that? Is that a persona, or is that just you being yourself in the music video?
Dude, it was
Yeah,
so funny. It like music videos are just so interesting because most of the time they're pretty serious. It's mostly you just like singing the song, and I like definitely have like a weird, nerdy, quirky side to me that doesn't typically come out. Like I'm just like most of my friends know me as kind of the goofball, like and you just don't when you just see someone from their songs or music videos or state like you don't really quite get that. And I remember just the idea kind of came up like, what if we did like a fun like day in the life video, and we had like one of those cameras that are attached to you, and it's just like a day in the life. So that's what I thought it was. I thought it was just gonna be kind of like a fun, like quirky day in the life video. And then I show up to the shoot because I'm in Columbus. I flew to Nashville for the day to do the shoot, and they have all sorts of crazy ideas and wild ways where I'm gonna get really messy really fast. And I'm like, what is going on here? So it was kind of a mixture of both. There's like definitely kind of like part of my fun, like weird, quirky, goofball personality. And then also a lot of things that I had no idea I was in. Like, yeah, step in a bowl of cereal. Okay, now we're gonna like, splatter you with smoothie. And now we're gonna have you brush your teeth with a massive like brush thing. And it's gonna get up. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I like an awards ceremony thing that night that I was playing at. And I'm like still picking out smoothie out of my hair. It's just like the craziest thing. So it was funny though.
it's a fun video. The music video, for those who didn't hear, is Steady Love. Go check it out on YouTube. Final question for you, Seth. Going back to the album, what are one or two messages that you want people to embrace and hear when they listen to the album?
Yeah. I think message number one is that like God's love is bigger than any of our mistakes. I think that's just something that I saw kind of prevalent in a lot of the songs as we're like putting the album together. A lot of songs just about the love of God and about how it doesn't matter, what we've done and where we've fallen short. His love is still just so consistent for us. And so I think just a reminder for people to run to those arms, to like and be embraced by those arms that don't care what you've done in the past, but are just welcoming you in now. And then I think just like when you come to those arms and when you're in there, when you're with the Lord, making your whole life praise to the Lord, making it all a gift to Him. He's worthy of our worship. He's worthy of our praise. And so, just to be inspired to really live out a daily walk with Him.